guys, welcome back to today's video. So today we have the final results on all of this concealer testing that I've been doing recently. If you have followed me now for a little bit, you guys saw all the new concealers that I picked up recently. I've been having major concealer issues lately. I feel like the darkness under my eyes just cannot stay covered throughout the day. For some reason, with a lot of concealers that I previously have loved, the concealer just seems to fade away and the darkness will start to come through in a matter of hours. Also, as we get older, the normal concealer issues still come into play. We got the creasing, the whole like dryness aspect, you name it, concealers are a pain in the butt. So I've been doing a lot of concealer testing. I have 7 concealers here that I previously purchased. I've been putting them all to the test for multiple days. I've been taking little notes on each one so I can give you guys my final review and thoughts on them. What I'm gonna do while I'm talking to you about each concealer, I'm gonna post 2 pictures. The first picture is directly after I applied the concealer so you can see exactly, how it looks when it's first applied. And then the second picture I'm gonna share with you guys is the concealer under my eyes at the end of the day. So you can see exactly what I'm talking about when I'm mentioning how it holds up throughout the day. So just a quick little disclaimer, I have had under eye filler previously. I had it done one time before, but it's been 10 months and it's pretty much gone right now. I do think that filler really does help with the darkness under my eyes or pretty much anyone's eyes. If you get filler under your eyes, you're gonna notice that when you plump up that area, it is gonna help with darkness. So just so you know, now this is a perfect time for me to be testing these concealers because there is no filler. So let's just get to it. If you want to see the winners, the losers, and the in-betweens of all these concealers that I've tested, then just keep on watching. All right, so the first one that I tested out happens to be a huge, huge winner. This is the Dermablend. It's the Smooth Liquid Camo. I have it in light and I have it in medium. Medium actually is what works for me the best. I am so insanely in love with this concealer. It is one of the best concealers I've used in a long time. It comes in a doe foot applicator like this. It is an ultra thin formula. So when you first apply it, you're gonna think, oh my gosh, like this isn't gonna cover anything. It's so thin and lightweight, but it has so much pigment to it that you get full coverage out of this concealer, and it's just ultra thin, so it just doesn't crease, it doesn't budge. It lasted all day on me. I had this on a couple days that were like 9-10 hour days where I didn't, remove my makeup for that long, and it held up beautifully. It covered the darkness perfectly. It just kept my under eyes looking flawless the entire day. This is a concealer I can grab for and not have to worry about like checking my under eyes. Is that darkness peeking through? Do I have to, fix any creases? This is a good to go concealer. So then I tested out this all natural concealer. This is the Zuzu Luxe concealer. This I would say is a medium to full coverage. That Dermablend, if I didn't mention, was definitely a full coverage concealer. This one I would say is about a medium to full coverage. It did give really nice coverage. It did cover my dark circles when I first applied it, but I did notice around the 6-hour mark with this concealer, a little bit of that darkness was starting to peek through a little bit. I would have to do a touch up, or it just didn't look as flawless as it did when I first applied it. There was slight creasing with this one and nothing major at all, just a little bit along the lower lash line. Easy touch up there. That's kind of a given with a lot of concealers, even if I really love them. Some of them do tend to crease just a little bit. So this did crease just a tiny bit, but that wasn't my major concern. I just would have rather had this last a little bit longer without that darkness coming through a little bit. All in all though, it was a nice concealer, but not my favorite. Next concealer we're talking about here is the Kevyn Aucoin. This is the Sensual Skin Enhancer. So let me give you a little clue. I ended up buying another shade because I love this one so insanely much. First one I bought is really good. It's a little bit on the lighter side, but it still works for me really nice. But I ended up going with another shade, just a little bit darker. So it just depends on, if I'm self-tanned or not. I'm not really into super light, super, highlighted look under my eyes. I'd rather match my under eyes like to my foundation kind of thing now. I feel like when you have darkness or you have more mature skin, I feel like it's better to match your foundation to your concealer versus, having a lighter concealer. I just feel like for me, that's working better in hiding the darkness and all of that stuff. So I feel like the lighter my concealer is, the more I think my under eyes show darkness. So anyway, that's my little spiel on that. Getting back on track to this concealer, this one comes in a little cream form like this and a pot like this. It is insanely full coverage. Oh my gosh, every time I would wear this, my under eyes looked insanely flawless. You just need the tiniest amount, and what I would do is I would just dip my finger in and I would pat it just a couple dots around my eye, and then I would take my beauty blender and just kind of bounce it in and really blend it into the skin like that. This is so full of pigment. The coverage is amazing, and shockingly, it didn't crease, it didn't budge. Usually when something is this full coverage, I would think that I would have major issues with it, but this one held up so perfectly all day long. Where my under eyes just, you know, the darkness was canceled out all day. Also, every time I would have this concealer on, it was just such a good under eye day. I'm like, you know what? I really don't even need filler anymore because it just is that insanely flawless. So this one's amazing. It didn't fade throughout the entire day. No darkness came back. It didn't crease. It didn't budge. It is beautiful. So this one, definite winner. The next one we're going to talk about is the Yves Pearl. This is the dual salmon concealer. It comes like this, two different sides. You get a nice peach salmony side here to really kind of cancel out that darkness. And then you have another shade that you can either like blend the shades together or kind of highlight different parts of your eye. However you want to use this. I kind of just used the salmon side because it really matched my under eyes really well. This is definitely a very creamy concealer, so I found the best way to apply this was basically just with my finger. I would just dab it in, you know, under my eye, just using my finger. And then I would set it a little bit with some powder because it is very creamy. I would say this is around a medium coverage. It didn't cover my darkness perfectly as compared to some of the other ones I'm talking about, the Dermablend, the Kevyn Aucoin, who covered my darkness so perfect. This one did not cover it as well as I would like, and it also didn't last as long. It only gave me about 4 hours of coverage. After about 4 hours, I could really notice the dark areas, you know, the inner quarters of my eyes. That's where I get my darkness. I could see it start peeking through again. The concealer was fading off and it just wasn't holding up the best. It also did crease on me. And all in all, this was not a good one. So talking about Yves Pearl again, now this is the Yves Pearl. This is the liquid salmon concealer and eye brightener. This reminds me of those MAC click up pens. It's the same type of thing. It has a little brush, you click up the product and you just kind of swipe it under your eyes. This actually I really preferred over the dual salmon concealer, the one I just showed you guys. This one worked way better on me. It had really pretty coverage. I would say it's like medium to full coverage, not insane full coverage, but it did cover my darkness really well. This one also did not budge on me. This one kept the darkness gone all day. It didn't fade out throughout the day. It also had very minimal creasing, and this one I didn't mind. This one I would actually pull out and use again because the results were really good with this one. So between the two Yves Pearl concealers, this one by far was a lot better. Then we got this one right here. This is the ever so popular Lancome concealer, the Effacernes waterproof. What in the world? I have no idea that name. Let me just butcher that name to death. Anyway, it's the long-lasting under eye concealer. So many people love this one. I had to test this out myself. This one comes in a little squeezy tube, and again, you squeeze it out, you get a nice creamy consistency. This one, I'm not seeing the hype on because it does cover nicely when you first put it on. I'd say probably like medium coverage. It didn't cover everything like spot on compared to some of the other ones. I did have a little bit of darkness that I would have liked, you know, to cover a little bit more, but the coverage was good. But then throughout the day, and sometimes maybe 3-4 hours later, the darkness would start to peek through. I would have some creasing. I just didn't find this one to be as good as all the hype, but there's so many people I feel like that do like it, so it just didn't work for me. I just felt like it should have lasted a lot longer. Out of all the concealers that I tried, I'd say that this one was definitely one that didn't last as long as most, so this one, not a winner. So last but not least here, this one was not even in my concealer haul video that I shared with you guys when I told you I was going to be reviewing and testing all these concealers. This one I kind of picked up after the case, but I had to try this one as well because I've heard a lot of good things about this one. It's the Tarte Maracuja Creaseless Concealer. Again, we have another tube that you squeeze out the cream product. Again, very creamy. I applied this one the same exact way where I would just get a little bit on my finger and just kind of blend it out like that. So the coverage was really nice on this one. I did really like the coverage. It was definitely more along the lines of a full coverage concealer. This also is super hydrating and moisturizing. If you have very dry under eyes, you will like this one because It kind of reminds me of the It Cosmetics, the one in the tube, the Bye Bye Under Eyes. I would say it's very similar to that consistency. This one's definitely moisturizing, so I did like that. But for me, I think it might have been a little bit too moisturizing. It did crease on me, and it didn't hold up as well on my under eyes, where around the 6-hour mark, that darkness on the inner corners did start to come through a little bit. So again, it could have been a little bit longer lasting. It was a good concealer. I do like the way it made my under eyes. It brightened them, it gave them some hydration, but it didn't last as long on me and the results weren't as good. But after testing all those concealers, we definitely have 2 winners that I think are so insanely good that I'm so glad I bought all of these concealers just to find these 2, because they are that worth it. They're absolutely amazing. The 2 winners, hands down, are the Dermablend Smooth Liquid Camo and the Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer. I think that they are so beautiful on more mature eyes. I know for me, they lasted all stinking day and just made my under eyes look so insanely flawless. I'm telling you guys, these are amazing. So I would definitely recommend you guys try those out if you are struggling to find a concealer, if you have any of the same issues that I do, darkness under the eyes, something that you want to be long lasting. You don't want that darkness, coming throughout the day, no creasing, no budging. These are amazing. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out and reviewing and testing all these concealers with me. It's been a long journey trying these all out, but I'm so glad, like I said, to have found those 2 because they are perfect. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. I love you all, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.